So this topic is going to be about shoulder impingement, which is a pretty common issue that a lot of people deal with in regards to the shoulder, from young athletic individuals to people who are older. This kind of has a pretty broad grasp on a lot of different people. So first we're going to talk about what shoulder impingement is. And basically, not that this shows all the muscles of the shoulder, but it gives you some insight into what it looks like. So this is the right shoulder. You're looking at it just like if I am standing here, my collarbone coming across and my arm coming down. Now the key point to this model is, take that off, is I want you to see this space that comes underneath this bone. Now most of us don't have a perfect looking shoulder. We're going to have maybe some arthritis, maybe a little bit of a bone spur here. So this space could be even smaller on most individuals. You see coming through here, this model shows this tendon wrapping across the top of the shoulder. This would be supraspinatus, the top part of the rotator cuff that's most frequently injured or impinged. It comes right underneath this little opening, and then you can see there's this little tunnel that's formed that this muscle sits on top of the shoulder blade. And then you have other aspects of the rotator cuff, infraspinatus, which coats the back of the shoulder blade, and then two other muscles, teres minor and a muscle called subscapularis that comes from underneath. Now, the important thing that I want you to know here is this space gets smaller if this shoulder blade is tipped up and forward. So as that shoulder blade is tipped forward, and a lot of that comes from this poor posture that a lot of us fall into, as that space gets smaller, this tendon starts to be pinched on and it can rub. The tendon itself can rub. There's a bursa that's also in this vicinity that can also get pinched and irritated. So the positioning of that shoulder blade is a huge factor in keeping pressure off of this tendon. So like we're talking about, if you look at my shoulder blades here from the back to start, as I round up and forward, which is something that's common when we're sitting at a desk or going through our day, eating, driving, that decreases that space and can impinge on that tendon. It could be supraspinatus, or it can also be your bicep, which comes right through the front of the shoulder. So a lot of the initial aspects of rehab is positioning your arm in a better position throughout the day. Part of that is going to be the opposite of this bad posture, being more of a back and down. A lot of times I'll describe it as a squeeze in the armpit. So if you begin to feel any pinching or tightness on the top of the shoulder, sometimes it's as simple as literally throughout your day when you catch yourself coming forward, just lightly push down and back. You can do it with your arm resting on something so you have a little bit of feedback through your elbow to squeeze downward, or you can have your hand on your desk doing the same thing. None of us walk around or sit like this with our chest up all day. We all fall forward a little bit. So doing something to lightly take the pressure off that tendon by pressing down is very useful. And like we're talking about, helps improve that space so that there's more room for that tendon and other aspects, the bursa and some other soft tissue structures, to not be pinched. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope that gives you a little bit of a good explanation as to what impingement is. Sometimes it can be the rotator cuff, sometimes it's actually the bicep tendon, otherwise it could be other structures, even the bursa.